Okay, that was good. It's working. Now the rangefinder. I've got to get that in place. I haven't really checked to make sure that it's all moving as appropriate here yet. Just checking the action of this lever at the top. This is where it swings the rangefinder. And as I rotate the focus scale ring, you can see that swings in and out. So that's working. And I have my rangefinder ready to go back on the camera. And I really want to put a little touch of lubricant on that arm where it contacts the rangefinder. Now most of the retinas, you have a raised pin here coupling to the end of the arm, but here it's all down in the body. Let's get that arm tucked down into place. That sits there. And there are two fixing screws, one that I can get in quite easily from the front, and the other one I've got to drop in from the top at this point, which is always a bit entertaining. It's stuck to the tweezers, so I don't know what orientation it was when it left and started floating through the air. It was good. I'm holding the rangefinder back towards the back of the camera against this ridge here so that it's all sitting square against the body. Just check that I've got that right. That seems good. Tighten this screw. That seems good. Now I need to check my alignment of the rangefinder, so I'm just going to look out the window and see what I've got. Well, the vertical alignment's slightly out, my moving image is slightly high, and my infinity adjustment is pretty good, my horizontal alignment. So my vertical alignment is out. I'm just going to see which way I need to go. Basically what I can do is I can shift this lens element here slightly up or slightly down, and when I say slightly I mean slightly, hardly at all. And I just need to see whether I need to move this up or down. My moving image is high. If I press it down it goes higher in the finder. So what I need to do is lift this lens front group here very slightly. And in an ideal world you'd probably lift it in exactly the same amount both sides to keep everything nice and square. We don't live in an ideal world, and I know from experience that if I just flatten that screw slightly, get the tip of a scalpel blade under there, just give it a little wiggle, it'll probably lift that. And I want to see what my alignment looks like now. Yeah, that's spot on. So that was, I'd like to say that was through great skill, but in fact really that was just through good luck that I got that correct on the first attempt. My horizontal alignment now is pretty good. Just trying to see if it's actually going further than it should do. Yeah, it is. It's going slightly past the infinity mark, but it's pretty slight. My adjustment is here. This is the lock screw, this is the adjustment. So I just need to slacken that lock screw slightly. If I can get the screwdriver into it. Yes, yeah, that wasn't even tight. I've got to tighten this slightly. I'm going to rotate that clockwise. That should do it for me. I think that the arm on this moves back to front from what I'm used to seeing on the other models, so I might have overdone that. No, I have not. That's it, that's good. That's very good. I'll lock that off and check again. No, it must have shifted when I locked it. Now it's not quite going to the infinity, but it's not quite aligning at infinity. So I overshot. That looks good. Let's try locking it there. Sometimes when you lock the adjustment, sometimes it shifts slightly. That's good. I'm happy with the alignment there. That all appears to be very good indeed. So now I can close up the top of the camera. I need to check everything over carefully before I put the top on to make sure that I'm not leaving any dust or fingerprints on any of the glass surfaces. Now that meter scale there's got a bit of a dirty mark on it. I'll see if that'll come off. The plastic here is relatively easily scratched, so be very gentle on it. Don't be rubbing furiously at it trying to get marks off. They may not be going to come off. They may not come off anyway, and you may just end up making a nasty, a hazy mess of the plastic all the way across. I was looking at these windows. That one's certainly a bit fingerprinted. When you've got windows like this to clean, it might appear that there's a mark on the outside surface and that you'll deal with it later. Deal with it before you put the thing in place, because it's easy to be misled and find that the mark was actually on the inside surface and you're going to have to take it all apart anyway. Right, so the spring on the top of the meter. There's our meter button. I'll swing the top cover into place. That's looking good. I'll put one screw in here. I don't remember whether I made final adjustments to the shutter release and film release levers to make sure that the shutter and the film release at the same point, at the same point in time. I'll test that now. That certainly released the film release slightly before the shutter fired, but it's exceptionally slight, and that's the preferred method because it means that that you won't end up with the film jammed and having to be press the film release button each time. I'm looking at the state of my meter setting button there. I'm just that does move freely. Yeah, no, that's good. That's popping up and down. The window's nice and clear, of course, because I replaced that. Okay, now that's good. So that last screw, I think, in the top cover is what I want to do. And put the rewind knob on. And then it's Leatherettes time. Check that the shutter release button and the film release button pop up freely. They do. The spacer goes on the top of the rewind. Now here's my rewind knob, which I haven't reassembled yet. Just wipe that out. Give me some synthetic grease. Something's going crazy on my phone out there. I can hear it beeping away. And here is the screw. And where's the tool? No, that ruined it. Here it is. Got the tool. Run that in there. Do that up tight. Check that the film reminder dial does move, and it does. And the camera back into the picture. Slot on the rewind knob. Something through the fork, tighten it up with my fingers. Alright, that's the camera body done. All the functioning bits are there and going. It's time for the Leatherettes. Well, the first thing I need to do now is, with these Leatherettes, is to remove the advance lever from the base of the camera. And I want to wipe this surface down to remove any oil or grease that might be contaminating the surface, since I've been handling the camera quite a bit since I first took it apart and cleaned it. That'll do nicely. The Leatherettes I have clean, ready to go, so it's just a case of applying the adhesive and putting it in place. Yeah, I'll apply some on here and spread it around with a toothpick. I'll apply some there because I think I'm going to need a bit more. This is, I'm being a bit clumsy here, I've got too much adhesive on here. Trying to get an even layer of adhesive. There shouldn't be great lumps of adhesive. There shouldn't be great puddles of wet adhesive. Smooth that excess off, that'll do me. Let's get under that. And drop this into place. Of course there's 3 features you need to get this seated around. The central boss in the middle, to release the back catch release button at the end here, and the collar around the rewind button here. I'm just making sure that the adhesive hasn't blobbed over the edges and got stuck between the button in particular. That all looks quite good. Let's give that a bit of a wipe just to get rid of any excess. That's good. Okay, that piece is in place. It's all nicely seated. I can put my advanced lever in place. Just do up those 3 screws. Now the advanced lever I've also cleaned, so there's nothing loose there, but I need to make sure that surface is grease free. And I have the patch that goes on there. I'll need a little bit more adhesive there. I'll transfer that with a toothpick. This little patch is quite inflexible. It's obviously been off more than once, and the glue layer that's on there is quite hard. So this may not want to lay dead flat. We'll find out. Now this stuff does have a grain to it. I'll see if I can line up the grain lines with the leatherette on the base of the camera. Just press that into position. That's done. So the back catch cover, back catch release button cover, and the tripod surround can go on. Just got a bit of glue on my hands there. I wanted to see the back of that. So this is always a bit of an act getting this done. It's one of those tasks that is awkward. I've put a single screw through there. Got the spring. I'll get that seated in position so it's all under tension. It's all sitting there preloaded, and holding it like that, I'll lift it into position, lower it into place, and if everything goes smoothly, the spring doesn't drop out, doesn't get caught underneath the lever, and when you do the screw up very lightly, because you can check the action, and that's good. That's returning as it should do. So I know that I've got everything correct there. If there's any doubt that that spring's got dislodged when you were lifting that into place, take it off and start again. If you make a mess of that spring, you're not going to find another one like it. Not in a hurry anyway. Right, so there we have the base of the camera closed up, the top of the camera is closed up. We have 2 pieces of leatherette and a patch to go on the front, the name patch. So, let me clean the front of the camera to remove all the greasy fingerprints I've put on it. And that just ensures that the adhesive will stick correctly. I'll get a fresh piece of paper there. That one's getting a bit messy. Okay, we'll start with this one. This is the right side of the camera as you hold it. These leatherettes are in particularly good condition. They are sound, they don't appear to be cracking. They're even relatively flexible. So again, I'm making sure that I get adhesive right to the corners and the edges, that the edges and the corners get good cover. I've got too much here. Leatherettes are going to peel, they peel from the edges, they don't peel from the middle. You don't end up with a balloon in the middle where the leatherette's peeled away, they peel up from the edges. So the edges are what requires the attention. That should slide under that body edge, that central boss, and getting it between these chrome trims top and bottom. It should tuck down against the hinge. Rub that adhesive off where it's run onto the chrome trim and check that it's all sitting down flush. That looks good. I noticed that the hinge pin here is just lifted slightly. I'll just force that back up. Yep, that's never going to fall out in my lifetime. Okay, so the other piece of leatherette. I'll be a bit more cautious about how much I put on this time around, since I was over generous the last couple of times. Let's get this spread out, particularly to the edges. And of course there's not quite enough now, so top a bit more on there. Making sure I've got the edges done in particular. That looks good. Get this one into place. And this one comes in and tucks up against that trim at the end there. And if the leatherette shrunk back so much that you end up with a gap round at this point, then move it that way. Ignore the fact that it doesn't come all the way up to the end at this point. That part of course is hidden by the door catch. I'm just making sure the leatherette is correctly centered between the upper and lower chrome trims, and it's sitting back flush. And that looks very good. And that only leaves the nameplate. So I'm checking that it's nice and flat. It's a bit marked. It's got adhesive marks on there. I'm going to get rid of them first. I had a fight getting this off the camera from memory because of the amount of adhesive, or the type of adhesive that had been used. It was very sticky. It went jelly-like, but it wouldn't come loose. Oh, that looks good. That's great. That was just a little bit of surface marking on there, bit of adhesive, I think. Right, so just wipe that to remove any grease. This piece. That should do me. Pick that up carefully. Lower it into position. Just press it down very gently. This is there's too much adhesive there, and if you squash it down, it'll ooze out down the edges and make a mess for you. So press it down gently and you won't have any problems. Okay. There we have it. That's our Kodak Retina IIS rangefinder camera. Retina Xenar f2.8 45mm lens. So we've got a coupled rangefinder, coupled exposure meter, synchro contour shutter, speeds from B to a 500th. It's a very nice little camera. You don't see many of these about. It's a shame really. They're very convenient in the hand. They're noticeably smaller than their big brother, the Retina IIIS. There's not an awful lot in it. I think it's about 8mm in length, but you can certainly tell the difference. This is a nice compact camera by comparison, and certainly one of Kodak's finest, I would say. Thanks for watching.